given the tendencies, the trajectory you just mentioned within Chinese politics and the increased consolidation of power undersea and this new trend towards a kind of greater control, to what extent do you think it's likely or possible that on the Chinese side, there'll be a willingness to allow sub-state, non-state actors to play significant roles in any of these? Or are there certain sectors where it seems more plausible to you? It strikes me that in the West, there would be openness in probably most sectors to non-state actors getting involved, anything that doesn't touch too directly on national sovereignty. But in China, I'm kind of left scratching my head. What area, might the CCP undersea give a little bit of autonomy to non-state actors to play a constructive role?
So yeah, I think you hinted at what my answer would be, Peter. It certainly depends a great deal on exactly who we're talking about, what entities, and on what sector, and on what issues, as well as, frankly, the kind of prevailing political condition at the time, which I think is fair to say is going to vary even against this backdrop of kind of an overall chill descending on China. But you see actually quite a bit of interest on the part of state-linked and kind of official actors in thinking about ways of regulating artificial intelligence, and interest in how other countries are thinking about similar problems. Whether that creates the any kind of common ground is a different question, but I think it at least signals some potential for that exchange to take place. I hasten to add that I don't think this kind of sub-state or non-state focus is a substitute for diplomacy or for governmental relationships. And in fact, I think there are essentially none of these issues that I talk about in the book that won't eventually require some type of formal international agreement to satisfactorily address. But you got to start somewhere, and I think there is much more potential at the non-state and sub-state level, even if the potential is still not great overall. One final thing I'll just mention in this, and I think there's a tendency, particularly in American policy circles, maybe a little less so now, but to talk about or sort of envision China's firms as being joined at the hip with the party and the state, and that is in fact very rarely true. Including in the tech world, where in fact you see very, very deep tensions and disagreements. And there's quite a bit of, really what amounts to lobbying and negotiation between China's tech firms and the state and the party when it comes to control over information, compliance with, what we would probably think of as requests for surveillance. And I think there are smart strategies to employ to exploit those divides and those differences in interests between at least swaths of China's private sector firms and the state and the party. It's simply not the case that you're talking about a sort of fused entity.